Hi, my name is Alex Galloway, and I'm an RN on Unit 44 Pediatrics at Shands. I've worked here for about 4 years, and I'm making this video because I contracted norovirus from our unit a few weeks ago. I was symptomatic for a little under 24 hours. However, I did have some nausea that lingered maybe a week after my onset of symptoms. And I have gotten noro before. It's usually around this time of year where it flares up, and I got it from our unit in the past. And the team that I had the day that I started having symptoms, none of them had been confirmed positive. However, I did have two patients that were symptomatic that day, and ironically enough, my entire team that I had that day that I got sick all tested positive. I live alone. However, I did get my boyfriend sick, unfortunately. I saw him a week after I'd gotten sick, and he ended up getting sick as well. So I did some research and actually found out that you can still be contagious even 2 weeks after you've had the virus. Since I've had noro before, I was aware of how, highly contagious and stuff it is, know that you have to do your hand washing and know that you have to use bleach. But I think too, unless you're really in the outbreak, you don't realize how highly contagious it is. So we implemented practices on our unit where we had bleach wipes only and really, really good hand washing. Even in today's day and age with coronavirus and everything, we've already been having that increased hand washing. But I would just say after having this virus again, it is so important just to wash your hands, to use bleach, to be cognizant, to not be sharing stuff. So we've definitely put that into play on our unit. I have definitely, even now, just because it's still the colder months and stuff, I've been wiping down my workstation with bleach, making sure I'm washing my hands even before touching anything when I come onto work. And I think that's helped kind of control the outbreak that we did have on our unit. Thank you so much.
Heather Peck. I work at Shands Hospital in Unit 44 Pediatrics, and I contracted the norovirus. That morning and day, I was completely fine, and all of a sudden, I had severe nausea that evening. I went to my little girl's t-ball game and actually ended up fainting. And when I got home, I was throwing up, had diarrhea, all the things. No energy, no appetite. The symptoms lasted approximately 24 hours, and then I felt okay. I still had some belly pain and just didn't feel like eating. And the diarrhea lasted maybe 3 days after the initial start of all the symptoms. This was my first experience with norovirus. I've never had it before. I had worked with two babies probably the week before I had gotten this, and what happened was one of the infants had thrown up everywhere. So out of instinct, I just started helping clean up, and I think that's where I contracted the virus. I knew that it was contagious because I'd heard about in the news cruise ships being shut down and it's spreading everywhere, but I didn't know how easy it was to get it. So I'm definitely now washing my hands more frequently with soap and water, not just with the sanitizer.
Hi, my name is Tabitha, and I am a nurse on 44 Peds at Shands, and I've been a nurse there for a little over 7 years. I recently contracted norovirus during a unit outbreak. My symptoms started one day when I was at work. We had, at this point, figured out that a couple of our patients and a couple of staff members had contracted norovirus, so I was very aware of any potential symptoms that could happen. So my symptoms started out with just me feeling a little bit flushed and just kind of icky. Throughout the day, I started to feel nauseous, and when I started to feel nauseous, I decided that it was time for me to leave work because I had figured at that point that I was probably contracting the virus. On my way home from work, I started vomiting, and then shortly after getting home, I started having diarrhea. Those symptoms lasted for about 12 hours, and then for the following, I would say 24 hours, I had body aches and things like that. In my house, there are 5 of us, including myself. Once I got home, I secluded myself to one bathroom and one bedroom, and I did not leave those 2 rooms, and no one else came in those 2 rooms. Once I started to feel better, I made sure I cleaned all of the surfaces with bleach, washed all of the linens, anything that I could have possibly touched or come into contact with, I made sure I cleaned thoroughly. This was not my first time contracting norovirus, so I kind of knew what to expect. About a year and a half ago, a similar situation happened on our unit where a patient came in that no one knew was actually having GI symptoms at that point, and got a bunch of staff sick, got a bunch of other patients sick. So I feel like we were a little bit ahead of it this time. However, we still could have done a better job. One of the main things that is most important about norovirus is making sure you wash your hands. Hand sanitizer does not work, and that is often just especially now where we're having to use so much PPE and do all of these things. We're running the quick, hurry up, get in, get out, use your hand sanitizer instead of washing your hands. So I'm definitely more on top of hand washing. A second thing is making sure that you clean with bleach and not just a regular sanitation wipe. During the couple of shifts before I contracted the norovirus, I was not in direct patient care per se. I was charged like the 3 shifts prior to me contracting the virus, so I didn't technically take care of that patient. However, there were a couple of kids who did end up having the virus. There were babies who didn't have family members, so they were out in the nurse's station. I held a baby who later tested positive for norovirus, so I did come in direct contact with them, although I was not their direct nurse. So definitely more aware now, and I'm cognizant that we're using the proper cleaning techniques, lots and lots of hand washing, and anyone who you might suspect could have GI symptoms, just play on the safe side and go ahead and treat them as if they do, for the safety of other patients, for the safety of your staff.